You're now listening to D&D live on demand.
What up, world? Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Command, a D&D football podcast. I know it's been a minute, but we back. It's your boys. Of course, you got your man, Darian D.H. Williams. Of course, it's D.H. on the mic on Twitter. And my partner in crime, D-Mitty, Darren Midget. D-Mitty, what's up, bro?
Feeling good, feeling great. How you been, brother?
Hey, man, I'm good. I'm glad we're back, you know what I'm saying, with the show. It's been a minute. You know, we've been doing appearances on a couple different podcasts and kind of like just waiting to get back in the mix.
Yeah.
But we here, man. We here, you know?
Just take time. That's all I do. Just take time.
That's it, of course. And just like the time we've been taking, I want to make sure that you guys are with us. So, of course, if you're watching right now, dang, what was my catchphrase? I forgot it. That's all right. It's been so long. Of course, if you're watching, it's long. Look, of course, if you're watching right now on YouTube, you know what the link is, youtube.com/Breaking Command Pod, and everybody everywhere. So you can always find us right there. And if you're watching anywhere, feel free to leave us a comment and a 5-star review. And if you do so on the next episode, you can get your 5 seconds of fame. That's it. That's all. D-Mitty, you ready to get into these Commanders topics, man?
Hey man, I've been waiting to cook, brother, because I see you've been cooking, doing your thing.
Hey, man, you know, if you don't cook, you don't eat. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
Hey, but let's get into it right now. And of course, like I said, man, appreciate everybody coming back in the mix and being with the team, man. So we appreciate y'all. But let's get into this new era in Washington. D-Mitty, I think since the last time that we spoke, a lot has changed with the franchise, from upper level management all the way down to the drafting of a brand new starting quarterback. D-Mitty, talk to me about your feelings on this new era here in Washington.
brother, let me just start off by saying Adam Peters from the head down has shown that this new era is really going to be a force to be reckoned with. Bringing in Dan Quinn, I really wasn't on board at the beginning, but he has, to a certain extent, wooed me through his press conferences and just the players I see he's bringing in, like Dorrance Armstrong and other players. And like you said, with the draft, kudos on what they did with the draft, man. I love it, from the Jaden Gaines pick all the way down to that John Batiste pick with the D lineman from out of Notre Dame. So I feel like they revamped this roster in a great sense, not just throwing away guys and then just going to get any guys. They got what they consider blue chip commander guys. And I can't wait for this new era to begin.
And you know what, D-Mitty, I think the main thing that we were talking about in the off season, just between us two, is just the massive overhaul of this roster, right? How almost close to 40% of the roster has been overturned. A lot of the guys that were underneath on the roster that kind of the fans knew, they're gone. They found new homes. So this Commanders team is brand new from the top down. Some of your mainstays are still there. You still got your Terry McLaurins, the John Allens, but you lose guys like Montez Sweat, who re-signed in Chicago. Chase Young, who was a second-round draft pick a few years ago, signed with New Orleans. Moved on from Antonio Gibson, who was a mainstay here, one of the biggest offensive producers for the team. And it's just a new look ball club. And I think with Adam Peters and company, they came in and decided that this was going to have to be overhauled. I mean, what we've been doing was not working, and they decided that we need to go in a different direction.
And that different direction to me is not trying to be right, but wanting to win. You
For
hear a
sure.
lot of teams, you hear across all sports how we want to be, we want to do this, we want to win, but you show it in your actions. Anything in second life, but especially in football, their actions was we changing it from the top. We overhauling the team as far as the roster, and we're going to put the right pieces around this organization and around this fan base to have something to cheer for.
No, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I think with this new era, like you said, it's a new opportunity to kind of get some fans that kind of were bullish on the team, get them back, in FedEx Field. As far as I know, season tickets are still going well. People are still excited with the new regime and the changes that are being made. So the fan base is like it's coming back um, to the stadium, and they want to pack the house out and really give this team an opportunity to kind of be the team that they never had. We're privileged enough to be seasoned, so that we actually have seen some winning from the squad. A lot of these youngsters haven't. A lot of these their greatest memories of this team is RG3. You know what I mean? And now we need to kind of see what's next with the squad. But of course, if you're listening right now,
And that RG3,
no, go ahead.
do apologize. That RG3 stint was just it was small, quick as my energy. That's that RG3 time. So that's all I was gonna say.
No, I got you. Of course, everybody tuning in right now on youtube.com. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Check out Breaking Command Pod. Share this with all your friends and family and all that, man. We appreciate that. Along with this new era in Washington, we've seen a lot of changes upstairs with the front office, from new management to additions on the front office staff, looking analytically, coaching staff everywhere. And also, there's one more change that's been announced past few days. Nikki Jabala of the Washington Post reported that Jason Wright will be out as team president at the end of this season. Your initial reactions, D. Mitty, when you heard the news about Jason Wright being out as team president?
I must say, I was a fan of the man because of the things he's accomplished, from being a practice squad player in this league, being a astute businessman, and becoming the first black team president of an NFL team. I was rooting for him. Now I have to root for him in another capacity. So to a certain extent, it did. I wouldn't necessarily use the. I don't want to use the term hurt, but it did to a certain extent. Like, man, like I felt like he had a good rapport from outside looking in with Josh Harris and Adam Peterson. However, they're looking at it differently. Once again, they are making changes in this organization to win, and it's all by their actions. So I wish them the best of luck.
And this is just like any other business, right? When there's a change at the top, changes are going to happen. And I think with the new ownership group coming in, they made their changes. They were slowly making their changes. You kind of, when you're in a transition, you kind of want to have some mainstay. You can't just really blow everything up and start from scratch. And especially, I don't think Jason Wright did a bad job for his time there. He was tasked with a massive challenge of having to spearhead the unwanted name change, right? He had to basically be the fall guy for that. A lot of the different presentations and activities that the Commanders were doing, he was kind of really thrusted in the spotlight and taking the blame for a lot of things. So when it didn't come off correctly, he was taking a lot of the hits. And then, frankly, as being the first black team president, a lot of people really showed their true colors about how they really felt about him, just as a man. And I think a lot of this stuff, he really didn't even really have an opportunity after dealing with the Snyder era, and just kind of where this franchise was. So it's kind of upsetting seeing how people would address him, because I think he's done a spectacular job in spite of what he had to go through during the transition. And I think it was he kind of knew that, once a new regime come in, he might be gone. But listen, man, I'm gonna tell you, man, his name rings bells throughout the league. He came from league offices. He's good with Roger Goodell. So trust me, he's gonna land on his feet after this season. I believe it said he's moving into an advisory role right now. And in the offseason, he'll be replaced. But think about that, man. That's a hard ask, right? They say, hey, look, at the end of the year, we're gonna fire you, but we still want you around for now to make sure things run smooth. And when you get into those big type of businesses, bro, that happens all the time, man. I think a lot of people aren't able to see that on this level, but this stuff happens all the time. And It's the NFL. He's been cut before, so he knows what this is like, man. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I wish him all the best. I think he did an excellent job in the meantime. And now you kind of really see where these fans are, right? You'll really see if it was a team thing or if it was a Jason Wright thing, because you know the minute he was announced that he was going to be gone, the first thing they talked about was what? A rebrand. Are we going to get another name? Are we going to go back to Redskins? Are we going to I'm like, bruh, stop it, bro. Stop telling us that he was the reason that we were the
It's
commander.
because
Uh,
it's childish to a certain extent how people are going, and especially on social media when it comes to that name change thing. And it's like, when do you let something go because you love it so much? When does that happen? You know?
and the thing is, right? And I know this was not on topic. We had no intention of talking about the name change, and I'm not going to, but I will mention this. It's like it's talked about ad nauseum, as if we don't already have other things to talk about. It's talked about ad nauseum right now, and I'm just like, bro, we're not changing the name, right? At least not in the immediate future. And I'm gonna tell you, if we come out this year and get to the playoffs and get like, nobody's gonna be thinking about that, bro. Nobody's gonna be thinking about that. But I understand this name has been in place for years, and people are just having a hard time moving on from it. And me, like, I think it's definitely an age thing, right? Because we're millennials, older millennials, and we're used to change, right? We're used to having to roll with the punches and adjustments being made. But some of these people, man, that's been the name as long as I've been like, we get it, bro. But I mean, we get it. We get it. We understand. But it's like, bro, like I'm so sick of talking about it, bro. Like I'm not even going to spend any more time to talk about it here. But I'm just like, I want y'all to know that the name's not changing just because Jason Wright is gone now. Like y'all can, I'm telling you, bro, we're gonna be the Commanders for at least the next few years. And if we're forever the Commanders, I don't even care. Like I fully embraced it. Like I
I
fully
want to
like,
see, before I leave here, I want to see 2 or 3 Super Bowls as a Commanders fan. How about that?
and I'm good with that. Cause I'm telling you, bro, nobody will care when you start winning, dog. Like nobody will care. Leave me to watch them booty scratches, bro. Nobody will care if you're winning 12, 13 games, bro. Nobody will care. I promise you. I promise
That's all we need to get on, because you've been doing great, quite well on the internet with your rebuttals with the people with the name change thing. So you pretty much packed and sealed that.
you. Hey, man, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. And just like we have to keep telling these people about the real, having them come to the realization of what the name is and what the name's going to be. You know that our name is the D&D Football Podcast. You can go to youtube.com/Breaking Command. Make sure you check out this episode, and all the previous episodes is archived. And I'm telling you, we have so much coming down the pipeline on the channel. You're not gonna want to miss it. So make sure you subscribe and lock in with us, because it's gonna be so much going on the show. And if you're new here, right, you may have had to get um you may have had to hear us by name. Somebody may have had to kind of tell you about coming to this podcast, right? Um, but unlike them telling you, and I'm trying to find a segue, it's not like Brandon Ayuk coming to the Commanders, because that's all I've been hearing all off season. So he's been leaking it. He's been having Jaden Daniels leak it. They've been talking about it on the news. But at the end of the day, D Mitty, my simple question to you is this: do the Commanders even need Brandon Ayuk? And I say need because I want to specify, right? I want $1 million, and I want to be on a nationally syndicated radio show, right? I want to do all those things, right? But do I need, I want ice cream, but do I need ice cream? You know what I'm saying? So I simply ask you this, and it's a terrible segue, and none of that makes any sense. But I ask you, D
It's
Mitty,
not.
do the Commanders need Brandon Ayuk on their roster?
And the key word, my brother, is need. They do not need Brandon Ayuk. They would love to have Brandon Ayuk. He would be a great piece to add to this offense. But you have everything you need on the roster. And don't, please, fans, as you hear me say this, that they don't need any Brandon Ayuk or anything else, and everything is on the roster. That's because they have everything else in place. They have the coaching staff. The facilities is getting upgraded to a certain extent. They are going to be just fine without Brandon Ayuk. Now, do I want Brandon Ayuk? Sure. When the news breaks, I'm going to celebrate. Or if the news is to break, I don't have any, news to share. But I
Nah,
would
go ahead, break some
love.
news, man. You know they be talking to you. Go ahead, break some.
Hey, you know I can be clickbait king at sometimes, but right now I'm just trolling. But
Hey, look,
no,
look,
I would.
we've been talking about this on the past few episodes of the urban sports scene. Hey, guys, take a look at this clip right here and see exactly how we feel about Brandon Ayuk in DC. I want to pose this to you guys, right? I want you to hear me when I say this, right? Let's not take today to stop trusting what Adam Peters has done. We've trusted Adam Peters to this point.
Mm-hmm.
With the draft, with the roster, with moving on from Sam Howell, which is my guy. We trusted him to make all the proper moves to rebuild a team that was floundering. We don't want to trust him now. We want him to just say, forget everything that we've built and just spend whatever we're going to do to get him, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it was Justin Jefferson, if it was Jamar Chase, you might be able to sell me on that.
Yeah,
But
that's what we're talking
we've
about.
been able to trust.
Brandon Ayuk.
Sign me up.
We've been able to trust Adam Peters and the front office staff to this point. Let's continue to trust them more and believe that they know more than us and that they know what this football team needs and what they're willing to spend for what this football team needs. And let's just let them work. Let's let them cook and let's trust that they're making the right decisions for the team. So you see how you see how I feel. We see how you feel. Like, bro, like of course he'd be a great addition, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't necessarily think we need him. And also, man, Jahan Dotson too. I think he's due for a breakout season. I think he's due to have a year like he had year one. And I'm praying that Diami comes alive this year as well, man. I think we have some guys. And then also you look at the ramifications that come behind Brandon Ayuk. You're gonna have to trade assets and then sign him for 30 mil a year, which is what he's looking for, D-Mitty.
And well, you don't want to cause a rift in the locker room this early in this regime. Now, do I know it will cause a rift? It's a potential rift because Brandon Ayuk comes with the baggage of him being linked to Jaden Daniels. Now, that could intervene with the rapport he could be building with Luke McCaffrey. You feel me? And Luke McCaffrey, to me, seems very talented. Not even based off of the lineage, just based off of you look at what he's done. He's played quarterback. He's been a go-to receiver in college. So he needs that rapport with the Jaden Daniels right now. So Brandon Ayuk will cause a rift in that extent, in my opinion. So that's why you don't need Brandon Ayuk.
Mitty, just like in the clip, right? We talked about how fans have trusted Adam Peters to this point. Just think about since they've been here, right? They haven't made any rash decisions. They haven't made any high pressure decisions. Be like, oh, we got to do it. Everything they've done has been calculated, even from what we just talked about to the moving on of Jason Wright. Jason Wright didn't just get fired today. This is done at the end of the season. So like, this is not a last second decision or something they just coming up with. Like, this is a planned, calculated move, and I think adding Brandon Ayuk is, if that's not a part of their plans, they're not gonna do it. Like,
No,
unless
no.
I think there's only a few players around the league that if they came available, that the Commanders would truly change the trajectory of everything they're doing. Right? If somehow Patrick Mahomes became available, okay, you put him in your plans. Justin Jefferson becomes available, okay, you put him in your plans.
If they would have signed Lamar Jackson, you wouldn't have needed a need for the second pick to draft a quarterback. You could have. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
They make very calculated decisions. So even this is all speculative in my opinion, that wanting Brandon Ayuk because of Daniels and because he wants to get out. Like it sounds good, and that's a common link, that's a common thread. But you got to look at the regime. If Daniel Snyder was still here, this deal would have probably already been done. Like, but Adam Peters and crew understands that they just overturned the excuse me, they just overturned the roster. They're trying to get in a good financial situation. And then also you look at how the draft has played out with receivers, man. Like 5 receivers in the first round this past year. Big name guys. Like receivers are not necessarily saying a dime a dozen, but receivers are coming out more frequently. They're coming out more polished. They're coming out better. And while you have to pay Brandon Ayuk, 30 mil right now, when you still have Jahan Dotson on the rookie deal, you still paying Terry McLaurin, and you still don't know what's coming down the pipeline behind them. So I think even at the end of the day, while it may sound nice, they're just going to be calculated with whatever decision that they decide to make in any roster additions, not just Brandon Ayuk.
And not to go too far into the subject, I'm pretty sure you
Go
covered
ahead.
some of the topics. Think about what those pieces would they would have to give up as far as the future picks. Um, think about what they would what outside of paying him, what that would do to like the roster construction as far as where they may see their 53-man roster. No, they don't have it set now, but how many receivers you're going to carry? Now the tight ends you have in your room. Are you going to carry 3? Now you might cut down to 2 when you may need 3. So that may put a hinder in that particular aspect of the actual roster construction.
And to your point as well, man, I think they're slow to jump on this because I feel as though with whatever offense that Cliff Kingsbury is running, you may not need. And I don't want, and this is gonna sound funny. Like I know they're gonna kill me in the comments. It's okay. You can kill me in the comments on this. But they may not necessarily need a guy like Brandon Ayuk to do what they're trying to do on offense because I think they feel like they may already have that in the room. You know what I mean? Um, so I feel like with this IU thing, it'll work itself out for himself and for the teams. Because if he comes out and plays well again, San Francisco does well, he's gonna have to get paid. And whether it's gonna be San Francisco or another team, he will get paid. If he might be able to end up here next year, but I'd rather do that deal next year than to do it right now, especially when the team has already pointed to the fact that they're going to build this team. This team is going to get built through the draft. A lot of these signings that they did this year were 1 to 2 year signings, like kind of as a holdover, but they're going to build this team through the draft. So I don't think they're in the position that they want to give up a bunch of picks going forward. I think they really want to hold on to a lot of these picks if they can, and if not, acquire more going forward. So while I would love to have Ayuk, if it came at a decent cost and we're able to add him to the mix, I would love it. I don't think the Commanders need Brandon Ayuk right now. I think they have the pieces and they will play well this year with their guys. And with that being said, D Mitty, let's jump right into how we feel this year with the season. Not going to pick any records, just going to really talk about how we feel about the team this year as the new look Commanders will step on the field. New looks in the equipment room with the bringing back the gold pants with these new uniforms, new players, kind of a new attitude. And I'm curious, week 1, that captain selection. I'm curious who's going to be the team captains and who's going to be making these pregame speeches because we had a lot of years of Jonathan Allen, stale pregame speeches. And look, man, listen. I want to look right at the camera. Jonathan Allen,
No
I'm
offense.
sorry. I've been talking cash about you and your pregame speeches. I'm sorry, man. If you ever want to come on the show, please feel free to come on the show. But I mean, I don't think they were getting the job done. So now I think those pregame speeches may be Bobby's. You know what I'm saying? It may be a different direction. But overall, I've said too much. D-Mitty, what do you think about this season for the 2024 Washington Commanders under um under new coach Dan Quinn, under first year quarterback Jaden Daniels, and under year 1 as a full-time lead general manager of Adam Peters? D-Mitty, what do you think about this 2024 season for the Washington Commanders?
Man, I must say, brother, I feel like this season right here, this season is going to be a totally different team. I know Ron Rivera used to preach that when they come to play the Commanders, that they're gonna leave, with a second opinion, different opinion. But I feel like this particular team, the NFL from the top to bottom, they're gonna see a totally different regime when they come to DC and when the Commanders come to them because the outfit is different, man, from head to foot. And I love the fact that it feels in this situation everybody's on one accord. It feels as if they're making the right changes for everybody to be on one accord. When I say changes, just like my man DH was saying, like they didn't make any brash decisions. They got a lot of 1 year deals on guys that could have went somewhere and maybe got paid more. Guys that came out and said, "Man, I got offered more." I think it was Jeremy Chin. He could have got paid more in Pittsburgh, but where is he now? Because he likes what they're doing on the field. And with Jaden Daniels, I don't want to be too big headed. I feel like he's going to have a good season.
Hey man, I'm looking forward to it, man. Like you said, I hit that point too with the players that they got here. I think they got a great caliber of players here. Um, we've been watching the Commanders log on the Commanders YouTube page. Make sure y'all go check that out if you don't already know about it. But we've been checking it out, and I've noticed a trend that they have a specific type of guy that they like to bring in the room. They want leaders. They drafted guys that have been captains. You look at the quality of guys they brought in Bobby Wagner, who's known around the league, who's been to more Pro Bowls than maybe I've been alive. Like he is, consummate professional. He's gonna be in a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like he's gonna be that guy. You bring in a guy like Austin Eckler, who's been a mainstay. He's been a workhorse type guy, a lunch pail type guy, in shape. He'll catch the ball at the backfield. He'll run the ball. He can play first through third down. He'll be a good guy for the squad. Uh, the additions on defense at defensive line, man, is just some of those guys. And I think Coach Witt will be able to really coach those guys up, man. I'm just excited for this team. I'm excited to where we can go. And I'm kind of nervous because, it's a reset. It's not the same team from 2020 when Ron Rivera got here. It's a brand new ball club. It's got me reinvigorated. It's got me motivated. It's got me excited to kind of see what we got. And really, like, I don't know what to expect. I really don't know what to expect. I mean, Dan Quinn had a couple great seasons as a Cowboy defensive coordinator. Cliff Kingsbury had a couple good years coaching Kyler Murray. Like, we don't know what to expect. And then, like I said, I'm kind of wary about Jaden Daniels because everybody's kind of anointing him as like the guy and that he's gonna have a CJ Stroud type year, and I'm hoping he does, but I just won't know till he take that first snap. I just won't know. You know what I mean? So I'm just excited, man. Overall, I'm excited to see what this team can do. I'm excited to see how everything will shake out. And it's gonna be tough, man, because the NFC East is tough every year, bro. It's gonna be tough, man.
And I feel like, man, what you said too about Coach Witt, man. I forgot about Coach Witt. The way he answer that question about having like it was something around having a start lineup and the guys he's seen in the locker room. He was like, no, he don't just have 11 guys he can roll out there. He got 17 to 18 guys, and
Exactly.
that told me right there that he wants a platoon. He don't want just star players. He wants a platoon of players he can throw out there in different mixes and matches against different teams and be able to and win on defense.
You look at how deep they are in the defensive back room, right? They're very deep right there. With drafted Sanders still, you still got Forbes. You lose Kendall Fuller, but you gain Jeremy Chin. They got another guy from Pittsburgh. Like, they got some guys, and then they still got Quan Martin. They drafted another, like, bro, like, they are really like in the business of really changing. And I think that's gonna help because what did Dan Quinn do well as a D coordinator in Dallas? They got turnovers. They turned Deron Bland into a household name with did he have like 6 pick sixes last year? Something like that.
I think it was either that or more, brother. Like he really showed out last year.
Nobody knew who he was before last year, and he showed up. So I think our scheme will really like get these guys in the right spot. And I'm so excited what this will do for Emmanuel Forbes, because I think Emmanuel Forbes may have a breakout year. You may get to see Mississippi State Emmanuel Forbes, where if he get his hands on the football, he may have a year like Deron Bland, where getting his hands on the football and getting, to the other, making house calls. I'm just excited, man. Like this team, like I feel like they have a new. It's we respected Ron Rivera. Like Ron Rivera is respected throughout the league. But Dan Quinn, man, I've heard so many great things about Dan Quinn. Like all his former players, guys around the league talk great about Dan Quinn. Like they're excited to play for Dan Quinn. And even the team, like, the team has talked lately, like Terry McLaurin had an interview on ABC7, and he talked about just the excitement of playing around Coach Quinn and how he's really interested in team building and kind of like getting everything together. So I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to it. And I think these guys will be ready to play come week 1 against Tampa, which I'm hoping to be at when they play down in Tampa.
Hey man, that week 1 game, man. I think I'm gonna just be so psyched just to see how the team looks. We know that's not going to be the finished product, but just to see how Jaden Daniels look against a NFL defense, and the one player that I'm really, you know, I won't say high on, but I just want to see what he does because they talk a lot about him in good ways. Is Mikey Sarenstein, and
Yeah.
like you were saying, with that DB room being deep, how are they going to put him out there? Is he going to be one of their guys? They're going to have him locked on certain receivers on the boundary. Is he going to be just the nickel guy? I want to see what he does.
Man, I think whatever they do, they'll pad these guys in the right positions. They'll make sure they have these guys in the right place. Because that's what we got to do. We got to get turnovers, man. That's something we didn't do well. We got to get some turnovers. And I think we will, man. But I'm excited, man. I'm like a kid. I'm like a kid on Christmas, man. Like, I don't know what this team is gonna be. I was upset that we had to move on from my guy, Sam, but it's okay. Sam landed on his feet. You know what I'm saying? So I'm super excited, man. I think the Commanders are in a good place now.
I'm happy for Sam too, brother. If he had any other choice or any other trajectory outside of winning in Washington, go to an organization like Seattle.
Yeah, he'll be starting before the end of the year. I think I said like week 8 or something like that. He'll be
Most
starting.
definitely.
Yeah,
Most
yeah.
most definitely. If he's not starting by the end of the year, I wouldn't be surprised if he beat him out early.
Right. And
I'm
look,
just saying, man.
I'll say this: Sam will be starting by week 8, but you won't have to wait for week 8 for another episode of Breaking Command. We'll be back with so much more hot topics, news, and as the Commanders news breaks, we'll get on here and Breaking Command with you guys. So I want you to stay tuned. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with a friend, and check us out, man, because we will be back with more Breaking Command. Of course, it was your man DH and my partner in crime, D Mitty. We'll catch you on the flip side. D Mitty, say something before we get out of here, man.
Hey man, DH, I want to just continue to thank you, bro, and I appreciate you, man. I love what you're doing, brother. And just not only just being a pod brother, but just being a brother in life, man. I really appreciate you, man. And to the fans out there, like, subscribe, and comment, and just turn up this Breaking Command thing, man, because we love what we do.
Hey, man, absolutely. We love what we do, and we love you. So we'll catch you on the flip side for another episode of Breaking Command, a D football podcast. Peace and love, everybody.